This is Bruce Wayne from Earth 123. And one day when he was a kid, he and his parents were coming home from a movie when they were robbed by a gunman, and unfortunately he had shot Bruce's mom and dad in cold blood. But although he had lost his parents, he had gained an undying hunger to seek vengeance. So growing up, he decided to train his body to its physical peak, and he mastered every form of combat before officially becoming Batman. He was out there protecting the streets of Gotham by the time that he was a senior in high school. But at this point, Bruce knew he had to help Gotham more than just in the streets, cause he just could not get out of his head the very last thing that his father ever told him.
Bruce, win a national championship. Oh.
So today I am putting Bruce Wayne into College Football 26. Let's see if Bruce can avenge his parents by winning a national championship as we follow him on his road to glory. Now going into his high school career, Bruce had never played football, but he had a lot of teams looking at him because of his last name. So Bruce was going to have one of the greatest opportunities a kid could have to get recruited. Early on, a lot of people questioned whether or not Bruce had deserved all the attention, but in his first game, he was proving those people wrong. He decided that he wanted to play middle linebacker because one thing that he was good at was hurting people, and the opposing quarterback was definitely getting hurt in this game. But after an incredible performance, Bruce Wayne was already a 4-star recruit. The kid had only played one game, and although there were a lot of people around the city who still thought that he had a lot to prove, he really had no problem doing it throughout his senior season of high school football. Almost every Friday throughout the fall, he was giving his opponents CTE, and eventually he was moving up to a 5-star recruit. Bruce Wayne was being targeted now by some of the top schools in the nation. The University of Miami is actually the first school to reach out to him, and the only thing Bruce wants to know is if they have black uniforms. But there were also some other schools like Michigan and their head coach Arthur Fleck, who for some reason seemed convinced that Bruce was already going to come to Michigan. So we'll see about that, but at this point Bruce is just focused on being a dominant force for his team and earning some more offers throughout the college football landscape. He was beginning to come across some schools that he honestly really liked, until eventually he was contacted by Lex Luthor, the athletic director for the Oregon Ducks. He just wanted to let Bruce know that he's pretty much willing to do anything to get Bruce to sign with him. And I definitely can't say I blame him considering how Bruce Wayne had played throughout the rest of the season. He had dominated his opponents and eventually was labeled as a top 10 player in the country. Bruce Wayne could go pretty much anywhere he wanted to at this point, but he was definitely ready to make a decision when it finally was time for signing day, where his top 3 choices were narrowed down to Georgia, Miami, and Oregon. But after thinking about what school he could really benefit from most and potentially win a national championship, for his college decision, Bruce Wayne would ultimately decide to sign with the Oregon Ducks. And now that Bruce is officially a member of the Ducks, he's gonna have to pick a new number where there weren't really that many great ones available. So he just ultimately decided to go with 27. Bruce Wayne was extremely happy to be here, and he was really showing the entire team just how hard of a worker he was, as he was doing real well at practice. On top of that, he was excited about the roster that they had constructed, especially after signing one of the greatest players in the history of college football, Barry Allen. He actually decided to transfer here from Iowa State because he knew that Bruce Wayne was Batman, and it was safe to say that he was really excited to meet Bruce.
It is a real honor to meet you, sir. Batman. Sir, Batman, sir.
I followed your efforts in Central City, Flash. You do tight, efficient work.
Now, one of the things that Lex Luthor had promised Bruce when he signed with Oregon is that they will wear black jerseys every single home game. So Bruce was excited to put on another uniform other than the one that he usually wears at night. But unfortunately, he would not be making much use of this one as he did not play at all in the first game of the season. Bruce still had a little bit of ways to go as he was the 4th string linebacker, but he had absolutely no problem with it as he was prepared to sit back, watch, and learn, because there were often times back in Gotham City they were putting out the bat symbol, so Bruce would have to take the bat wing and fly back home to take care of business. As the weeks were starting to go by though, Bruce would eventually get his chance to move up the depth chart, and he was definitely doing a great job of showing the coaches why he should be getting some more playing time, because by the end of this practice he was clearly the better player, and the coaches were very curious about what Bruce Wayne's potential could actually be, and it would only be a week later where they would finally give Bruce the chance to see the field. Bruce Wayne came out here and dominated this position battle and left absolutely no doubt that he was going to make an impact for this team, and soon he would finally get the opportunity to do so. Bruce Wayne was on his way towards making his college football debut, and he was finally on the road towards seeking vengeance for his parents. But he did know the road ahead of him would definitely be a long one, so he was just ready to get things started as he was going into his first game against UCLA. Now, Bruce wasn't getting a ton of playing time in this one, but he was making an impact early. Almost any time he was in the game, he was at least trying to contribute, and his presence was definitely felt as this defense was taking care of business all game. They eventually got to the fourth quarter where Bruce felt like he had a chance to make a play, because he had also studied in the art of reading college football offenses, so he knew on this play this quarterback might throw his way, but he drops the pick. This is definitely one that Batman wishes he could have back, as he could have had his first pick of the season. But everything was all good, as it turned out that he had already done enough to help his team win this game. Oregon takes down 20th ranked UCLA 24-17. The coaches were very impressed with Bruce Wayne, even though he only got a little bit of action, and they were really surprised at just how smart he truly was. Even then, they felt like they still haven't seen Bruce at his very best, so they were looking forward to throwing him in the fire in the next game, as they were matched up against one of the best teams in the nation. They were heading on the road to face off against another top 25 ranked team in the country, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, unfortunately, Ohio State was running all over this Oregon defense all throughout the first half. Bruce Wayne was doing everything he could to help contribute to a stop, but eventually Ohio State would take the lead 9-7, bringing us to a 3rd down and 4 where the Buckeyes had a chance to extend their lead. But everything would change when this defense would pick this pass off, and now the Ducks have momentum on their side as they take the 14-9 lead. Bringing us to the fourth quarter of this game where the coaches trust Bruce Wayne to make some plays, and he definitely was. He would ultimately be brought out though at the very end of this one, and he was forced to watch from the sidelines as Ohio State would drive down the field and win this game. The Oregon Ducks take their first loss of the season, and it was really too bad because Bruce had actually played great for just his second game. Unfortunately, Bruce did not think that way, as he felt like he should have been better. So he spent all night standing at the corner of this rooftop thinking about ways that he could be heading into the next week of this season. Batman was ready to have a breakout game, and he felt like this week might be a great opportunity as he was going to be at home facing off against fake-ass Patrick Mahomes and Nebraska. Now, early on in this game, Bruce Wayne feels like fake-ass Patrick Mahomes has taken it too far. He doesn't understand why he doesn't just get his own personality, but Bruce does realize that he's going to have to get some vengeance for the real Mahomes. But he knew the only way to do that was by coming out here and saying, no! Bruce Wayne was coming up with his first pick of his college football career. He just picked off fake-ass Patrick Mahomes in Nebraska and was giving his team a ton of momentum going forward. Because by the second quarter, Oregon was up 7-0, and after Bruce Wayne came out here and decided to smack this dude into next week, he was forcing Nebraska to punt the ball. Bruce Wayne had actually helped Oregon hold Nebraska to 0 points until the fourth quarter. And I'll tell y'all what, man, Bruce was still out here making some big plays. He was just physically imposing on this offense, and by the end of this one, Nebraska was wishing that they had never put Oregon on their schedule, because the Ducks would shut out the 5th-ranked team in the country. Bruce Wayne had fake-ass Patrick Mahomes and Nebraska rethinking their entire existence. But it seems like the head coach from Michigan was trying to make Bruce Wayne do the same thing. He seemed pretty upset that Bruce did not want to sign with Michigan, as Arthur Fleck seemed pretty confident that they were just going to steamroll over this defense. But it seemed like Bruce Wayne actually had some different plans, because there was one player in particular on Michigan that he felt like deserved some good old-fashioned justice. Bruce Wayne had done his homework on Bryce Underwood. He read his file and found out that he had actually committed to LSU, and then decommitted at the last second for Michigan. And you know what? Batman does not like that. So he knew that he was going to have to come out here and say, Wayne! Bruce Wayne picks off Bryce Underwood for his second pick of his career, completely flipping the field for the Ducks and doing a great job setting the tone for this team. Because by the fourth quarter, this game would be tied at 14, and against the #1 team in the nation, Bruce Wayne was making plays. He was still getting limited action in a game that ultimately went to overtime. We're now tied at 17. Bruce was still contributing with a big tackle in the backfield. He was coming up with a play that pushed Michigan behind the sticks, ultimately forcing them to a field goal and helping his team come up with a 26-20 victory. Bruce Wayne was already proving that he was one of the best players on this defense. He was an absolute dominant force on the field. But he didn't stop there, as he would oftentimes have to break curfew so he could go out at night and take down these criminals as Batman. The crazy thing is that Bruce was still only a year into being the Dark Knight, and he was also just getting started with becoming a key player for the Oregon Ducks. And he was just hoping that he could continue to prove that one day he deserved to be a starter, as he was heading into his next game at home against Washington. Now, this Oregon defense was strapping up all throughout the first half, but it would continue here as Bruce Wayne said, Wayne, coming up with another pick on his season, as he was helping to prevent points in one of the only appearances in this game, and contributed to his team coming up with another win on the year. The Ducks closed this game out 24-11 in a game where Bruce didn't really get to play much, but the coaches did tell him that he was going to get some more opportunities moving forward. They wanted to keep seeing what he can do against some other Big Ten opponents. So this next week will be a great opportunity for him as he was heading on the road to face off against Illinois. Now this was another game where the Oregon defense was playing well all throughout the first half as they just continued to come up with stops. But when Oregon turned the ball over and Bruce came back in at the end of the half, for some reason this Illinois quarterback had some words for Bruce Wayne.
The hell are you supposed to be?
Oh, nah. See, that's probably not a good idea, man, because now Bruce had to come out here and say, Wayne! Bruce Wayne was coming up with a pick, and there was nobody ahead of him as he took this one across the goal line for a touchdown. Batman had come up with his first touchdown of his college football career. And just like that, he made the Illinois quarterback wish he never said a damn thing, because Bruce would come out here and continue to obliterate his opponent, and he had no problem letting him know exactly who he was.
I'm vengeance.
The Oregon Ducks destroy Illinois 28-3, largely led by Bruce Wayne, who ended up winning his first ever Big Ten Player of the Week. He was beginning to make a serious difference on the field, and he was continuing to make one off it. But it wouldn't be long before the Oregon Ducks would need him most, because they were once again heading on the road to face off against another top 25 ranked team in the nation, the 15th ranked USC Trojans. Now at this point in the season, Bruce Wayne knows exactly the kind of player that the Ducks need him to be. They needed him to shut down the entire middle of the field, and he was doing a great job of that in this one as he would snag this ball out the air. Bruce Wayne was forcing another turnover on the season. He was already making an impact on this game as he was just beginning to get some playing time, and at this point this USC quarterback is already petrified of Bruce Wayne, not only because he might pick off a pass, but also because he might smack him with the fist of justice, as Bruce Wayne had absolutely leveled this quarterback, and the entire Trojans offense knew that it might be a very long day. They only had 6 points by the end of the third quarter and 12 by the end of the fourth, and although the Trojans offense were beginning to pick up the pace and really get this ball moving down the field, it was quite literally too little too late. Because at this point, Bruce Wayne and this defense would help the Ducks come up with another huge win on the year. They take down the 15th ranked team in the nation thanks to another big game by Bruce Wayne, helping to lead this team in total tackles, and he had them in excellent position with 2 more games left in the regular season. And it's wild that it has taken so long, but after a handful of games where Bruce has established his presence on this defense, he was finally getting a chance to move up to a starting linebacker. And this was an opportunity that Bruce had absolutely no intentions of wasting. He wanted the best chance of avenging his parents, and he felt like that could happen with him officially now becoming the starter. He actually beat out a player that was also trained by Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows. But you know, with only a few games left in the season, Bruce was really beginning to fall in love with the game of football as it took away from his darkness as Batman. He felt like this was a great way to relieve the pain of losing his parents, and he knew that he could be one step closer to avenging them if he could help his team close out the regular season, starting in their next game against Northwestern. Now in this game, although the Oregon defense was playing well, Bruce did not make really much of an impact until the second half, more specifically at the end of the fourth quarter, with this game still tied at 7, and Bruce Wayne was putting his team in position to come up with a game-winning safety. They got to a second down where Bruce was able to come up with another stop in the backfield at the 1-yard line, bringing us to 3rd and 16 where this defense was able to hold them to 4th, and it turns out that's all the offense needed as they scored a quick field goal and came out with the victory. The Ducks would escape this game 10-7 against an unranked opponent, and it was another game where they felt like they might not be able to get it done without the Dark Knight. Bruce was consistently making an impact in games, including his final one on the road against Michigan State, where for the first time all season, Bruce Wayne would actually come up with a sack force fumble. He continued to strike fear in opposing offenses, and he was already doing enough to help Oregon close out the regular season with a W. The Ducks were heading into the postseason as the number 2 team in the nation, and the coaching staff just could not be any happier with Bruce considering that they were now headed to the Big Ten championship game. But they were not the only ones happy with Bruce Wayne, as Batman was continuing to do a great job protecting Gotham City, and the mayor eventually decided to make a whole statue of him. But as great as Bruce thought that was, he knew that there was definitely some more work to do, especially when it comes to avenging his parents, as he was now heading into the Big Ten championship game with an opportunity to punch his ticket to the college football playoffs. Oregon pretty much needed to win this game in order to secure a first-round bye. Unfortunately, the only way to do that would be by facing off against the number 1 team in the nation, the Michigan Wolverines. Bruce Wayne is playing Michigan for the 2nd time this season, and once again, he is continuing to make some big plays. He was proving to be one of the hardest hitters on the team. But despite the fact that he was out here coming up with some nice tackles for loss in the backfield, Oregon would find themselves backed up against their own end zone, and unfortunately Michigan would finally break through with a touchdown to go up 7-0 in this game. And unfortunately, for the first time all season, Bruce Wayne doesn't feel like there's much he can do to stop the opposing team from moving down the field. Because on 2nd and goal, they would come out here and score another touchdown, going back up by 7 with only a minute and a half left in this game. Luckily, Oregon was able to tie it up with around 30 seconds left, but this defense was still not able to get things together. And after Bruce came out here and missed this tackle, the ball carrier would get Michigan into field goal range, ultimately resulting with the Wolverines coming out with the victory in the Big Ten Championship. The Ducks take their second loss of the season, and it's kind of crazy because instead of celebrating with his team, Michigan's head coach Arthur Fleck decided to reach out to Bruce Wayne and basically brag about winning the championship. Oh yeah, there's definitely something crazy going on with that dude, man. I don't know why he's so obsessed with Bruce, but at the same time, Bruce is not thinking about it too much because he did end up having a very good game. Probably one of his best games tackling-wise of the season. At this point though, Bruce is just looking forward to getting into the playoffs, but since it is now the end of the regular season, there are some awards to be given out. And it turns out that Bruce's teammate Barry Allen would go on to win the Heisman Trophy, his third one of his college football career as he continued to dominate the NCAA. The Flash wouldn't be the only one who would get some recognition though, as Bruce Wayne would also earn first team All Big Ten. He was already becoming one of the best linebackers in the nation, as he was recognized as a second team All-American. Definitely not bad for a freshman, but this season was definitely helped out a lot by the junior Barry Allen. But Bruce knew with him continuing to improve each and every week, he was going to have the potential to make a profound impact for this team in the playoffs, and it seems like he wasn't the only one who thought so, as Lex Luthor was letting him know that if he keeps this up, he might be able to get him in the NFL early. And that definitely sounded good to Bruce, man, but for now he had to lock in. It was finally time for him and Oregon to head into the college football playoffs, where after Lex Luthor had apparently pulled some strings and got them the first round bye, Oregon was prepared for an opportunity to move on to the next round as they were set to face off against Texas Tech. Now this Texas Tech offense looked like it was having a hard time competing against Oregon all throughout the first half. And that was definitely understandable when you had guys like Bruce Wayne who was tracking down your running back from 15 yards away. But it wasn't long before their quarterback was beginning to crumble and ended up throwing a pick. The first turnover of this game that really seemed to set the tone for Oregon, because by the second half they were up 14-0, and it didn't seem like there was much Texas Tech can do, with Bruce Wayne saying "Shablock." The Red Raiders were damn near petrified of this Duck defense. I mean, it wouldn't be until around 2 minutes left in this game where they would finally get across the goal line for a touchdown. Unfortunately for them though, it was already too little too late, because the Oregon Ducks had already done enough to move on to the next round. They closed this game out 14-7, and largely thanks to this defense, they were now going to be one game away from the national championship. The exact thing that Bruce Wayne was looking to get to avenge his parents. But the job was definitely far from finished, as he still had one more matchup before the big game. He had to help his team get to the national championship. But the only way to do that was by coming up with a big-time performance in his next matchup against the Arizona State Sun Devils. Now, it wasn't long into Arizona State's opening possession where Bruce Wayne was knocking this man out cold. He hit that boy so hard he almost got sent to an alternate timeline. The great thing about this though is that it was not just Bruce making plays, as this defense was able to come up with a stop on the opening possession, and later on Bruce would have an opportunity to come out here and snag this pick, but he dropped it. This is actually the second pick that Bruce has dropped this year, but you know what, it's all good, because it turns out that his teammate has got his back. The Ducks come up with an interception before half, giving them all the momentum heading into the fourth quarter. We're up 21-7, they just have to come up with another stop on this drive, and another pick ends up doing it. The Oregon Ducks get another interception, and after taking down the number 2 team in the nation, they have earned their way to a national championship. They take down Arizona State 21-7, and Bruce Wayne feels like he is one game away from making his father proud. So he's working real hard throughout the week heading into the final game of the season. After a year where Bruce Wayne had asserted himself as a dominant force on this defense, he has ultimately helped lead them to a national title game, where this program has the chance to snag their first championship in their history. But the only way to do that would be to find a way to take down the Michigan Wolverines. Oregon is playing this Big Ten opponent for the third time this season. Somehow they just keep getting matched up, but not much has changed as this defense is playing extremely well. It wouldn't be till the end of the first quarter where Michigan would finally come up with a play that gave them a little bit of momentum. They didn't really do anything with it until their next possession though. We're on 3rd down and 9, this defense ends up coming up with another stop, allowing 3 points as Oregon would go up by 7 after half, where even though Bruce Wayne was continuing to cause problems for this offense, by the end of the quarter they would find themselves down in the red zone, where on 3rd and 2 this defense would luckily get the stop. This game was now 13-6 late in the fourth quarter, and it seemed like Bruce wasn't really having to do much when his defense was coming up with the pick. They caused a turnover that allows Oregon to take a 2-possession lead late in the fourth quarter, bringing us to 3rd and 8 where Michigan is on one of their final chances to stay in this game, and it's picked off! The Oregon Ducks come up with another interception in the final moments of this game, and thanks to players like the one and only Bruce Wayne, for the first time in their history, the Oregon Ducks were finally becoming national champions. The Ducks are able to get the job done, and more importantly, Bruce feels like he is finally able to avenge his parents. On top of that, he was emerging as one of the best defensive players in all of college football, and the entire country couldn't wait to see what he had in store for next season. And apparently that included Arthur Fleck, the head coach for the Michigan Wolverines, who honestly, bro, he sounds like he might have to get sent to Arkham Asylum, because he seems real mad that Bruce was able to win a national championship. He had an incredible season where in only just a handful of starts, he was able to help lead the team in multiple categories like tackle for loss and interceptions. So at this point, everything is looking great for Bruce until one day he reads an article that says Barry Allen is finally getting his chance for Missouri? Wait a minute, what's going on, man? Something happened. He went to go check the depth chart and Barry Allen wasn't there. What is going on, bro? This don't make no sense. He decided to go ahead and get in contact with Barry Allen himself. And Barry Allen is adamant that he doesn't even know Bruce Wayne? Oh, nah, see, something is definitely going on right now, and Batman is going to figure it out. And if you want to find out what's going on too, be sure to get this video to 1,000 likes and subscribe to the channel down below. Also, be sure to comment down below who else you guys want to see next, and YouTube thinks you'll like one of these other stories until the next one comes out. If you got to this point in the video, just know that I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. Shout out to LBOE for the comment of the week, and I like this one personally because he is just straight up speaking facts. I hate Jerry Jones, and he is the main reason why the Dallas Cowboys suck. So I hope your NFL team is doing much better than mine, but other than that, I'm gonna catch you guys next time.